Alright, let's talk about Sukuna, the king of curses, the walking definition of power and fear in Jujutsu Kaisen. I mean, come on, he's not just some random villain you would forget after the fight's over. He's a character you can't stop thinking about, whether it's his insane power, his cryptic motives, or just how absolutely terrifying he is. But here's the thing, there's so much more to Sukuna than just being a cool villain. Let's get into it. Sukuna's journey started in the Heian era. Back then, Sukuna wasn't a curse. Nope, he was a human, a sorcerer so ridiculously powerful that people feared him even before he became the king of curses. The stories about him are wild. Like, they said he even had 4 arms and 2 faces. Now, is that literal, or is it just how history remembers him? Honestly, it doesn't even matter. What we know for sure is that sorcerers couldn't take him down. Killing him didn't end him. It made him worse. His death turned into something unstoppable, something eternal. And that's what makes Sukuna different from almost every other curse. He's not just a product of negative emotions, he's a legend that outgrew death itself. That's insane. Now, let's talk about who Sukuna really is. He's not just powerful, he knows it, and he loves it. That arrogance, it's not an act. He's fully aware that he's stronger than everyone else, and he treats the world like it's his playground. Whether he's fighting, manipulating, or just sitting on the throne smirking, you can tell he enjoys being in control. But here's where it gets interesting. Sukuna isn't like your typical anime villain who has some grand plan or a tragic backstory to justify their actions. He doesn't care about right or wrong, good or evil. Sukuna is pure self-interest. He does what he wants, when he wants, simply because he can. And honestly, that is what makes him terrifying. He's not bound by any moral compass. He's chaos in its purest form. But is there more to him than that? Sometimes it feels like he's playing a much bigger game. Like, why does he take such a specific interest in Megumi? We'll come back to that later because it's a whole other rabbit hole. And now the fun part, his powers. Sukuna doesn't just dominate because he's strong, it's how he uses his strength. Take his domain expansion, Malevolent Shrine. It is insane. Unlike most other domains that trap you in a bubble, Sukuna is completely open. It's basically, if you're in this range, you're done. He doesn't just win fights, he annihilates everything in his path. And then there's Cleave and Dismantle. These moves, they're not just flashy, but they're also terrifying. Cleave adjusts its power to cut through curses or humans, and Dismantle, pure destruction. It's like Sukuna's entire combat style is designed to be as efficient and brutal as possible. But let's not forget his physical strength. Even without cursed energy, Sukuna is ridiculously fast and strong. Pair that with his adaptability, and you're looking at someone who doesn't just simply overpower his enemies, he learns their weaknesses and exploits them. That is why nobody stands a chance against him. Now, the dynamic between Sukuna and Yuji, it's one of the most interesting parts of the entire show. From the moment Sukuna ends up in Yuji's body, you know it's going to be a typical hero versus villain relationship. Sukuna doesn't just see Yuji as a host. He sees him as, well, let's be real, an annoyance he has to put up with until he gets what he wants. But the way he manipulates Yuji is what stands out. Remember the binding vow? That wasn't just Sukuna saving Yuji to mess with him later. That was Sukuna saying, I'm in charge here. And it's all about control with Sukuna. And Yuji, he's caught in this constant struggle to keep Sukuna contained while knowing he's only one mistake away from losing everything. And then there's Megumi. Sukuna's obsession with him is really still a mystery. Why is Megumi so important to Sukuna's plans? Is it his potential? His 10 shadows technique? Or is there something deeper that ties them together? Whatever it is, it's clear that Megumi is a key piece in Sukuna's game. What makes Sukuna so compelling isn't just his power or his personality. It's his role in the story. He's not just an obstacle for Yuji and the others. He's the ultimate wildcard. Every time Sukuna shows up, the stakes shoot through the roof. And the craziest part, he doesn't even need to be the focus of the scene to dominate it. Just knowing he's there changes everything. But beyond that, Sukuna represents something bigger. He's the embodiment of unchecked power. While characters like Yuji and Gojo are fighting for a better world, Sukuna is a constant reminder of what happens when power exists without purpose or restraint. It's chilling, and it's what makes him such a phenomenal character. Is he just biding his time until he regains full control of his power, or does he have a deeper plan? Some fans think his interest in Megumi has something to do with the 10 Shadows technique, being able to counter his own powers. Others believe it's tied to Sukuna's past as a human sorcerer. Whatever the reason, it's clear that Sukuna is always 3 steps ahead, and honestly, that's what makes him so fascinating. Even when he's not in the spotlight, you can't help but wonder what's he plotting next. So there you have it. Sukuna isn't just a villain, he's a force of nature. From his terrifying powers to his enigmatic motives, he's easily one of the most compelling characters in Jujutsu Kaisen. But what do you think? Is Sukuna the ultimate anime villain? Or is there more to him than we've uncovered here? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your take on this. And I guess just as like a disclaimer, before you guys eat me alive in the comments if I mess something up here, I did not read the manga because I kind of take them as spoilers a little bit. Especially for this one, I'm super interested in what happens next. And so yeah, everything I talked about here is without reading the manga, so if I did mess anything up, you could go ahead and correct me in the comments without trying to spoil it. But yeah, hey, if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to subscribe for more deep dives like this, and until next time, stay sharp.